Okay.
Welcome, Catarina. Welcome, Pauline. I'm really happy and excited to have this conversation and connection with you about closing ritual. You, Catarina, are coming very soon to Poland to share your work around accompanying women through grief, accompanying women after birth, and accompanying women in different transition in life through closing ritual. And can you share with us how did it start? Like, why are you actually going all around Europe or maybe world to connect to some indigenous ways of working with women? And what is the essence of your work? How come you're doing this? What you're doing?
Okay, you want the long story or the short story?
Something in the middle, maybe.
Okay, let's go to the middle then. So I think because otherwise it would start with my own birth. So let's not start there. But yeah, it started, I think, when I went to university to become a doctor. And these were my first experiences accompanying women in birth. And for me, this was, even though it was in the hospital with a lot of interventions and a lot of people and not so much respect and celebration in these moments, it was always so beautiful and so magical. And I was always, as a student, I was crying in the birth and hugging the father, and we were both crying, and he was saying, "You are a doctor, you cannot cry." I was like, "I'm still a student, I can cry." So from the beginning, yeah, from the beginning it was super beautiful and inspiring, but I knew that I didn't want to be a doctor really, because I was very sad with how the system was working, and especially around births, how it didn't respect really the nature of birth. And I'm very thankful for the medical system, because sometimes it's needed and it's great, but to see the birth as a pathology instead of seeing it as a physiological act that is, was always very weird to me. And so when I finished university, and this was what took me to Mexico, because I went 1 year to study the 5th year of university. I did it in Mexico City. And then I decided to finish. I came back to Portugal, but I already knew that it was not for me. But in Mexico, I got to know home birth and traditional midwifery. And for me, this was like, okay, so this can happen in other ways also. Uh, and so I started to, I already was working a bit with herbalism, but I went deeper with the herbalists of Mexico, the midwives, and I started to open these whole worlds in which health and birth can be seen in a much more holistic way and according to the cycles of the earth, and without so much power and authority like it is in the medical system nowadays. And so I stayed in Mexico for 12 years. And this was where I got to know the closing ritual. And please interrupt me if I'm talking too much, yeah, because I get carried. But yeah, so the closing ritual, maybe I can say, like, for the ones that don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's a moment, a space in time that traditional Mexican midwives have always used for women in postpartum. So it's a moment after birth, some weeks after the birth, normally, that the midwife comes to the house of the women and she takes care of her and she brings warmth back to her body, and she closes her bones, and she brings the organs back to their center and the womb. So it's a moment to tend the body of a woman that just gave birth, which is very important because birth is a very big transformation in our bodies as women. But it's also a rite of passage that was kept. And not only in traditional Mexican midwifery, these kinds of rituals, they happened in every tradition across the world. And we still can see things very similar happening in Peru, in different parts of Asia. I even know that in Poland, there is something similar that Beata was telling me. So this is a memory that we have as women, like very old, of as women taking care of each other in the moments of pregnancy and birth and postpartum and grief. And so this closing ritual in the traditional Mexican midwifery, normally it's used only in postpartum. Or sometimes if there was a miscarriage, for example, it's also used. But it's very valuable, this tool, also to use it in any other moment that a woman needs to close in their life. So I've been using it also for abortions, for miscarriage, for women that had sexual abuse or aggression, that went through an accident, through a surgery, that lost someone in their lives, that anything that traumatic, painful for the physical body or emotionally, and that we really want to create these moments to take care, to honor, to integrate, and to transform the memory that we have from these events in our life. Either it is a birth or anything else that happened to us. Yeah. And I can tell a little bit what the ritual is about.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So different midwives in Mexico do it in many different ways. And also, as I was saying, these kind of rituals also exist in many other countries and continents around the world. But normally it's always about bringing warmth back to the body. Because a body that went through birth, but also a body that went through trauma, normally has an excess of coldness in the body. So we work with herbal baths with different kinds of herbs for the woman to have heat again in the body. And there's also other things that we can do, like massage or moxa or cups. Like each midwife has their own tools to do it. And then we use the rebozo, which is a traditional Mexican scarf. But again, in Asia, they also have it. In Peru, they also have it with other names. And we close the whole body of the woman. So we are physically closing her joints, her muscles, her bones. But it's also like the body feels this as a contention, a moment that you are really like squeezed and held. And this is a very beautiful memory of our body to feel safety again, to go from a moment of stress and alertness to go to a moment of relaxation, because we know that we are being held, that we are safe. Like if we are in the arms of our mother or someone that we feel safe with. And there are other parts. Me personally, I really like to have a big conversation with a woman before, because sometimes a woman comes to close a birth, but when we start talking, a lot of other things start to come out, and it's a good opportunity to close these aspects as well. And yeah, it's a beautiful ritual in which we are somehow telling our body and our psyche that we are changing something in our life, that we are making a transition. Okay, we are letting go of this thing, we are honoring what hurt us and transforming it and opening a new chapter in our lives. And I think it's not, I cannot say this enough times, that this is really like something that the woman is doing, and we that are accompanying, we are holding space to the woman. We are witnessing this transformation of the woman. But as every energetic work and inner work that we can do, no one can do it for ourselves. And so as women, we can support each other and support this woman, that she can really be her own healer and do this change in her own life. And it's beautiful to witness this and witness the power that we have as humans and as women to really alchemize and transform pain into beauty again in our lives, especially when we are talking about grief. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's about grief, I'm very curious because you mentioned birth, motherhood, and grief. And I'm very curious, what is for you personally, what's the connection between them?
Okay, that's a great question. Yeah, so first of all, many births and postpartums, they come with grief, because sometimes our birth was not how we wished it was. Nowadays, we are living in a very Western industrialized mindset, in which as a society we are afraid of birth, and so we need to control birth and do interventions in birth. And so many times there is sometimes violence or authority or interventions during the birth that we were not ready for them. I think we are never ready for something like that. And sometimes simply things don't happen as we wish. Sometimes we plan this beautiful birth in our house, for example, or in a place that we feel safe, and then things go differently than what we thought, and this expectation creates also a certain grief. We have to let go of the idea that we had of the birth that we are going to have, and embrace another one. And we can be very grateful and say, wow, I'm so grateful that there was a C-section because it saved my baby. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I'm not sad because it was not like I wished it would be, no? So for one part, there is this. For other parts, even births that are beautiful and wonderful and everything how we expected, like this unicorn rainbow births, like everything so beautiful. Like even like that, there is a grief, because the woman that we were before, we are also letting go a part of her, and we are embracing a new moment of our lives. And so even if it's something beautiful.
We lost Katarina for a moment. I think the experience of birth was just taking her somewhere else.
Hopefully she will come back soon.
To the unicorn.
But
while we are waiting, we can maybe say a few things about the logistics, the dates and the place, if you want to share that.
Yeah, so waiting for Katarina, we want to invite you and share with you this news that Katarina is coming to Poland between 25th and 28th of September this year, so in 3 months. Yeah. Oh, she disappeared, but hopefully she will come back. to deliver a closing ritual course accompanying women with through grief. It's going to take place in region of Dolnośląskie in Nowa Białka, in a beautiful house surrounded by nature, forests and hills. And both of us, we are organizing it and inviting you. Hopefully Catarina also can share what will be the program and how we are going to work. Yeah, and we are very excited to share it.
Yeah. Excited, especially after hearing already few birth stories and both of us experiencing closing the bones ceremony after our births. We just both felt that it's a huge gift that Catarina is bringing to Poland, and
Yeah.
very
Hi,
excited.
Catarina.
Hey.
So just sharing about you.
Hi, I'm sorry. My phone, there is a heat wave here in Portugal, and my phone said, I'm too hot. I cannot work anymore.
Okay.
But we're back. I actually put it in the refrigerator.
Wow.
for a minute. Wow. So I think now we'll be able to do it.
Wow, it must be really, really hot.
Yeah, it's been really hot these days. It's crazy. But so I remember where I was. We were talking about these rainbow births, that everything goes well, but still there is a part of grief. There is something that needs to die for something to live again. And it's beautiful to be able to honor this also, and to embrace this, and to really have a moment that we symbolically, that we ritualize it, and that we, that we tell our body, that we tell ourselves, okay, so now I'm not only this woman anymore. Something changed. The new cycle is coming. So in this way, it's also connected to grief. And then we have these other aspects, especially the aspects that are connected with an event in our life that can leave us in a state of post-trauma. That is very similar as well. It can have similar things with a postpartum, not in the same way, because I'm not saying that postpartum is traumatic or anything, but a body that is after a trauma, many times it's also cold, it's also contracted. It also needs warmth and tending and relaxation, and our psyche, our emotions, our heart needs contention. And so this can happen when when there was an abortion, a miscarriage, surgery, an accident, any situation of violence or aggression, or boundaries that were not respected in our body. And things get stored in our body, and we live in a society in the same way that we are afraid of birth, we are afraid of death, and we are afraid of grief. And these are all the most natural things of life. And there is nothing wrong with grief. Sometimes we have this idea that we always need to be functional, we always need to be happy. And it's not like this, no? Like grief is a very important part of our lives. That when we give space to it, really new things can flourish in our lives, new wisdom, new understanding, new cycles. But we have been told as humanity to put it under the carpet, to hide it all the time. So the quantity of women that have been through abortions, miscarriages, sexual abuse, to give some examples, and that they never told anyone about this. because they feel guilty, because they feel ashamed of this. And probably the women that are around me, they all went through the same, but we are all silent and we are not talking about it, and we are all living these things alone. And this is not the way that it should be. We should really live these things together and accompany each other and really celebrate our griefs and put our griefs under the light again, instead of being it in the shades, hidden all the time. So the tools to accompany a woman in a postpartum are very similar to the same tools that we can use to accompany a woman in grief. And not only these kind of tools that we use in the closing ritual, also in nutrition wise, a nutrition that is used for the postpartum can be a very good nutrition for a post-traumatic state. And also just this contention of, I'm sitting with you and this day is for you, and we are taking care of you, and we are giving you a bath and a massage and hearing your story. For me, that we can have this trust and this love again between women, it's beyond the closing ritual from the traditional Mexican midwifery. It's like our memory as women, like, because we have always done this, and in this industrial society we stopped doing this. We became very individualistic. We put grief and everything that it's uncomfortable aside, but it's really time that we can leave these things together and with each other and tend each other. Because I have to tell you that there was never one closing ritual that I gave that the story of the woman didn't resonate with me, with my story. So for me, it's always an opportunity. It's like really this, we are not separated, like all these women from other territories, from other backgrounds, from other ages, and she's telling her story and I'm saying, wow, I feel the same, I went through the same. And it's beautiful that we can accompany each other and start to, instead of carrying this grief, this pain in silence for the whole life, that starts to somatize in our bodies, that we can just put it all on the table between women and say, wow, we all have so many things in common. Let's transform all of these things in beauty again, no? It's very simple and it's very powerful what we can do together as women, really.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really touched, and especially I want to share, I feel really touched by the way how you speak about grief, because this is something I like research inside of me, and also from this cultural and social level, like how much is like excluded from our daily life, grief and death, as you said, and also birth, how much is connected, because it used to be very natural to speak about it, to experience it together in communities, in the villages. Yeah, and I'm really touched about how much we need it again, to bring it back, so we like we do it now, like to even start to speak about it again, and how powerful it is. And I just had this glimpse of this myth, I don't know if you know it, where there is this cycle of life, death, and life, and how much there's like this archetypal cycle that and I was thinking like how much we fear of death, and without experiencing this death and grief, we cannot transit again to life. And that's the full cycle. And for me, it's amazing how you share, like we can do it in women's circles and accompany each other. Yeah, I really love it. Thank you so much.
It's really beautiful for me to kind of already land in this space and feel that it's coming, our meeting. And yeah, I'm curious, maybe finishing this beautiful conversation. Can you share for whom is this event?
Sure. So I would say that it's for every woman, but so I feel that all of us definitely need to remember to be in peace with grief, to want to sit with it again and talk with it and listen to what she has to say in our lives. So definitely this is a very good space for every woman that wish for that in their lives, that they themselves want to sit with grief, that they feel that they are carrying grief in their lives and they want to have a better relation with it and to have new tools for it. And then if you are coming because you want to accompany other women in grief, because you want to do specifically closing rituals with them, then I feel it's important that you have a background already. That this is not the first thing that we are doing with grief, with women, because it is very important that we have really good tools to work with our own grief before we start officially offering this service to work with other women, because it's very easy to project, it's very easy to sometimes I don't have things in peace with me from my own wounds, and the woman will sit in the sofa of my house telling me the story that still hurts me. And am I ready to accompany her in this, in a good way, in an authentic way? Did I deal with this already in my life in an honest way? So I feel that it's important that we, with a lot of honesty and truth in our hearts, we know how and when and in which way we are ready to accompany other women in grief processes. So normally it's really good if you already have a background because you are a midwife, a doula, or a psychologist, or a kind of therapist, that you already have your own tools and you are using it. And maybe you are a doula and you are just accompanying postpartum, not other things so related to grief. Maybe you are already working with grief and you are accompanying women. Like each one of us, we will also find our own way of accompanying, because it's not a recipe like you do like this and this and this and this is the same for all women. No, it's really from my own grief and my own path and my own tools. And for these specific women, each woman with their story, what can we create in this day, in this ritual, no? So yeah, I feel that if you have a background before, it's really great. I think it's important that you come open to also be moved, to bring things from under the carpet that are there, like, oh, this is too hurtful, I don't want to see it. Because it's only from there that we can really authentically accompany other women as well. For me, being in a closing ritual or any other kind of accompaniment, it's never like I'm the facilitator and I'm helping this woman. It's I'm being deeply touched by her story, and of course it's moving things in myself as well. And so I need to work a lot in myself also to be able to do it in an honest way, no? So for whom this course is, if you want to go into this space of learning tools and ways and perspectives of working with your own grief, or if you are already accompanying women in some way and you wish to have more tools to do it and new perspectives to do it as well.
Great. So we see each other between 25th and 28th of September. So in
Yes.
3 months. Yes. Do you want to say something for the last closing sentence or add something to the women?
Yeah, no, just thank you to both of us for the invitation. We never met personally, but there is definitely a very beautiful connection. I'm not doing this work a lot, as you know, and because I feel that I have a lot of respect for the place that it comes from also, and I feel it's also a big responsibility, and yeah, and with you too, it was a really yes to do it and open this space. And I'm really looking forward. I know to open this space always brings a lot of healing for myself and understanding and growing. So I'm looking forward, and to go to Poland. That is a land that I love so much and that welcomes me very beautifully always. So yeah, thank you for the invitation, and I'm looking forward to meet all of you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dears.